Hey, what's up, guys? Your boy Riff Diesel here, and today I kind of want to talk about how my training changed from, my early pro days until now. So if you guys know, I turned pro as a lightweight bodybuilder, 154 pounds, and I didn't compete in a pro show until that was in 2014. Turned pro at 21. Yeah, one of the youngest pros in history. Cool. All right, let me stop bragging. All right, from there, I took a year off, 2015 off, because at that point there was only 212, so I was trying to gain size for that. At the end of 2015, they announced Classic, and in 2016, I competed, won two pro shows, went to the Olympia. From there, I met, sometime after that, maybe, I can't remember when I met Joe Bennett, or the Hypertrophy Coach is what he's known as on Instagram, and he kind of changed my idea of how training should be. And the amount of growth I've noticed in between that time has been very, very exponential. It made a big difference, right? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna kind of set the scene for you, because context is key. I can't just tell you, like, people ask me how do you get big, and I'm like, everything is in context, right? Like I said, 2014, I was 154 pounds at Nationals. My first and second pro show, I was 160 to 157. Tempo is where I won, so I was 157. And I would say that's a better comparison, because I was a little bit leaner, a little bit tighter, and I was shredded for Nationals. So that was about a year and a half and only 4 pounds of growth in that time frame. And that was a pretty hefty off season. I went through tons of food, 5,000 calories plus for a 150-pound person is ridiculous. So like the training, I think the training was the biggest thing that made a difference, because my nutrition was on point. Matt Porter is amazing as a coach. The supplements were on point, because Matt has recommended me everything to have. Everything was on point. So everything, I would definitely say my training was lacking at that point in time. Just because from 2016 to 2017, or actually 2018 I weighed 170 pounds at the Olympia. The year before that I was 163. So that's a 7-pound difference compared to the 3-pound difference. And it's almost in half the time, right? Double the weight in half the time, basically. So what happened was, when I was training as a younger guy, I'm a big fan of Kyrie. You guys already know that. My posing I got from him. My training style I actually got from him when I was a younger pro. And the thing is, what I didn't realize at the time is, imagine everyone has locks. You have your genetic potential, but it's locked. Let's say, for instance, what I did was I took Kai Green's key and I tried to stick it in my lock, and it didn't work, right? So that's why I only gained maybe 3-4 pounds in a full year and a half off season. Once I met Joe, we kind of figured out what worked for me in my training, and we put the right key in the lock, and my genetics kind of blew up, right? So imagine that, right? I think that's the best representation I can give you guys. So the training was, back in the day, it was a lot of high reps. I would do tons of high reps, tons of drop sets on everything, rest pauses, supersets. It was super high volume, and not a lot of progressive overloading. I didn't track weights at all, and I didn't lift any heavier weights from 2014 to maybe 2016. The weight pretty much stayed the same. There was no progression, and I didn't really think about it, right? So if you guys notice, if you've seen any of my progress pictures, I've usually had great legs. So there's a duality here. All my upper body training was strictly Kai Green training, but my lower body was actually a mixture of Kai and Tom Platz. And if you guys know Tom Platz's legs are ridiculous. He's the king of legs. He's the quad father, right? And I was just obsessed with getting legs like with Tom, and I remember seeing this video where he squatted 500 pounds for 23 reps, and it just blew my mind. So legs was the only thing that I would add weight to, and I would do it unconsciously. Like I would just do it because I wanted to get to that 500 for 23. So I ended up like I was able to do like 425 pound squats at like 150 something pounds, 160 something pounds, which is I think very impressive for my weight. And I could do about 6 to 8 reps with that too. So that was the only thing I was progressively overloading on, getting bigger, getting stronger each and every time I went to the gym, doing more numbers every time I went to the gym. Because on top of that 408 6 to 8 rep squat, I would start with like 30 reps, then drop down. It was like a descending rep range type deal, but also increasing the weight. So I was getting the volume work in, but at the same time, I was getting the load, the sufficient load to kind of work the muscle. So legs were growing, but everything else, because I wasn't adding the weight, was just kind of there. So fast forward a couple years, I met Joe Bennett, and my training completely changed. He had me do a lot. I actually did a lot less with him. I remember the first time we trained together, we did a lot less, but the muscle was just as fatigued, but I wasn't out of breath because I wasn't doing all these supersets. I wasn't jerking or trying to force the weight up with other muscles. Because what's the point? Is there's no point in trying to jerk the weight up with other muscles. You know what I mean? Because then that muscle's working instead of the muscle you need to be working, right? So those added reps didn't do anything for you because your back did all the work, or your shoulders did all the work, or your traps, or whatever. So he taught me that, he taught me these principles and these things to kind of help me build the things I was trying to build. And at the time, it was mainly my hamstrings and my arms. And I would say my arms came up quite a bit. I don't have people saying my arms are shit anymore. They say they're proportionate. They still don't say that they're great. I don't know if they ever be great, but they don't say they're shit. They don't say my calves are shit anymore. I get occasional comments on that they're good, but no comments that they suck. So that's pretty awesome. And that's the thing, guys. That's another thing I want to bring up. When you're looking at pros to follow, it's cool to have, it's cool to look at guys. It's like, oh, that dude has great biceps. Let me ask him what he did. 9 times out of 10, this dude probably always had great biceps. That's like asking Phil Heath how to get good biceps. I'm like, he probably had them since he was a baby. Like Phil Heath, he said himself that he doesn't even have to train them. So that's the thing you have to realize, right? Genetic potential people with great genetics, they don't have to do the same things people who don't have great genetics do. Not to say I don't. And you got to think, genetics isn't just a one thing, because people are like, oh, you got great genetics, you're a pro at 21. But I have genetics I have good shape. That's where my genetics shine, and I can get in shape. Gaining muscle is not a genetically strong point for me. Like you saw, I only gained 3 pounds in the off season. That's in a year and a half. That's nothing crazy. So as I was saying with the training, we focus on the basics, right? Heavy lifting, compound lifting, good form. Good form is key. Before you even add any weights to the bar, learn how to activate that muscle properly. Learn how to train that muscle properly. Learn how to lift that weight as perfect as the rep could perform it that good each and every time. Not just the first 2 reps, not the first 3 reps, but throughout the whole set. And each time you go in the gym, you have a logbook. A logbook is key. One of the best pros, Dorian Yates. I love Dorian Yates' training style. And he was a big supporter of having a logbook. He had a logbook for every workout. And if you don't have a logbook and you're having trouble gaining muscle, then you're already messing up right then and there. You need to go to the Walmart, go buy a little journal, and start tracking everything. Because once I did that, my numbers skyrocketed. My every back exercise I doubled in strength in the off season. Every arm exercise, it went up by like a third. Every chest exercise went up by like a third. I was lifting like 80s, 90s most of the time, and I got up to 130s for like 6 to 8 reps, and things like that. So if you're having trouble gaining weight, you track your nutrition, right? Okay, you're adding the carbs in, you're adding the calories in, you're adding whatever in. When you're dieting, you're tracking your cardio, right? When you're all throughout the year, you're tracking the amount of supplements you're taking. Why wouldn't you be tracking the amount of weight you're lifting? Why wouldn't you be doing training? Because training is one of the most important things too. All this is synergistic. All these matter. Your supplements, your training, and your food. All of it matters. And when you take out one of these, then you're limiting yourself to only 66% of your potential. You know, so pay attention to things like that when you're creating, when you're trying to gain muscle. You want to have control over every aspect of this game. So that made the difference. Tracking my numbers, lifting heavy weight, progressively overloading each week. And when I say progressively overloading, if you don't know what that means each week you want to be better in something. Most people only think of, oh, I want to add more weight or I want to do more reps, which is true. But there's also a third key, and that key is to increase your execution, get better. If you're not increasing your form or your reps, another acceptable way of progression is to improve your form. If your form is improving, that means you're moving and controlling the weight better. That means you are still getting stronger. So these are the things that really made a difference for me. I think the biggest thing was the logbook and adding the weight to the bar. And it's just that simple, man. People ask me for secrets, how do I grow my hamstrings, how do I grow my chest. And the simple thing is to lift more weight, get stronger with good form. And that is like the simplest answer I can give you. Hopefully, guys, that was informative. I'm sorry I couldn't give you the crazy secret of like eating duck eggs and like going out to the beach and meditating, and that gives you the gains you need. It's just basic, simple hard work, guys. Hope you guys liked the video, and until next time, peace.